This is an Octave Higher, a weekly expose of Jamaican musical talents from a unique angle. Some may even say the right angle. From the men and women who continue to compose, perform, and produce music we have become so attached to. An Octave Higher pays tribute to these musical heroes that you won't necessarily see behind a microphone or on the front page of an album cover, but you have been enjoying their talents and creativity over the years. Thanks for joining us as we delve into the mind and all a reason with another fine Jamaican musician. Welcome. It's time to take you an octave higher.
Nice and easy jamming to start this musical exploration inside the business. And it's Omar Trowers, aka your boy OT, hanging with Richie Foulks inside an octave higher. Many people don't get the opportunity to hear the other side of the story. We see the artists, we hear their performances, and we say, yeah man, that sound good, like the music. But then the persons responsible for the real creativity are the ones who are left in the shadows.
In the background.
Yes.
Most of the time.
Well, we want to bring you into the light. We want to shine the spotlight on you. As a matter of fact, we're doing that just now. And I hope you don't mind the glare.
Yeah, I tell you.
Richie,
Yeah,
tell me, man, before I even ask you about, your genesis in music, let me ask you, call some names. Some of the who's who in music, Jamaican music, whether it's pop or reggae or gospel. Tell me some names that you've worked with over the years.
Oh gosh. Well, everybody knows I worked with Yellowman for years and years and years. So you know how far I coming back from.
Yeah, King Yellow.
Right, King Yellow. Sagittarius band. That was like a marriage right there. So Yellowman, Sagittarius band. And I did that for years. And while with Sagittarius, we played through Beanie Man, Bounty Killer, you name it. You name it, because you know what goes on Sting.
Yes.
Sting started with Sagittarius band. And we did Sting right up until early 2000s, I think. We're still playing Sting. So, yeah, if you think about a Sting lineup,
yes.
And we were doing like pretty much all night, playing for everybody. Every year. So, if you just think about that lineup and go through the names, through the years.
And you've pretty much touched the core of Jamaican music.
Yeah. And then I left there and I went and I did 9 years with Sean Paul. It's easier to sum it up that way and to try to call the individual names. Because, I mean, both on stage and in studio,
yes,
been working with tons and tons of artists through
the
years.
who's who in Jamaican music, from the young to the old, you've impacted their career in some way.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I like that, man. You should get an OD.
If we go over to the gospel side now, because you know most of us musicians we're born in the church and we do a thing outside and then come back.
Well, you know, I had an experience with you maybe about 3 or so years ago,
right?
With a young reggae gospel band,
right?
And they launched an album live in studio.
Right,
and your
on Love
instrument,
FM, yes.
right on a particular radio station full of love. Right? Love FM indeed. And you're the creative process behind Imani.
Yes, I produced the album.
Yes. So from whether it's gospel or pop, as they call them, reggae or dancehall, you've had a touch.
Yeah,
in the careers of so many different persons. That's
I've
astounding.
recorded for Shabba.
Well, you said Shabba a while ago?
Yes.
As in Mr. Loverman?
Mr. Loverman, Shabba.
That's like way
Cobra,
back when, man.
Patra, Richie Stevens. Just coming through the years. And all those things that used to run up on the Billboard charts back in those times, but most of those sessions, it was a certain set of us that were always on those sessions. Yeah, man.
You know, Richie, you mentioned the fact that you've been on tour with pretty much everybody. I'm sure you have some memorable moments and some not so memorable moments when you search your memory box. Tell me one of those good times that really stands out in your mind.
One night in Dubai, we flew into Dubai, we had a show, and trust me, we had a lunch that was second to none in a 7-star hotel.
Wow.
But that's not the thing. The night they came and they picked us up and they said we're going on a rodeo in the desert. And they brought a whole lot of SUVs. And you deflate the tires. I don't know if you've ever seen that on the net or anywhere, how they do it. Deflate the tires down to just a little bit of air for more traction.
Yeah, on
and
the
then,
sand.
Right. And then we start going through the stand.
The sand dunes.
And doing some acrobatics in those SUVs. 50% of the time we're not on the ground. Doing some flips and all sorts of things in those SUVs. And we did that for about at least close to an hour. And we ended up in this place where we had a real Arabian dinner.
Yeah.
You know, we sit on the floor around this table and you have this belly dance over there and all that stuff going on and the Arabian music. That is something that stands out in my mind as an experience.
That was a good time. Tell me something that really never went so well for you.
Something that never went so well. Well, and I think a lot of musicians go through this at some point in their career, when you end up in the middle of nowhere and a promoter jump ship on you, you don't get paid, and you don't know how you're reaching home.
My word.
Yeah. That is probably one of the worst things that could happen to anybody. You're way out somewhere, way in the middle of nowhere, and the promoter disappears, everything goes sour, and you have to find your way back home. Well, the good thing is a group of you.
Yes.
So you work your way back. And most times, if you have a good name and you can call your travel agent and get good credit and what have you, use up your good credit, you're good to go.
Or even talk your way into a gig.
Or talk your way into a gig. Well, there were people trying to talk us into gigs for some little stupid money because they knew that we were stranded.
Yes.
Yeah, but we told them no, man. It's all right.
Not for a mess of porridge.
Yeah,
not
but
it.
that's one of the worst feelings. You feel cheated. You feel
Violated even.
Yeah, it's not a nice feeling.
When you think about all that you've experienced, Richie, I mean, it comes back to, you know, that talent that you've nurtured for so many years. Mm-hmm. You look back at your experiences and you look back at the things that you've crafted or created, and there must be a few of them that when you think about them you say, yeah, I really enjoyed that experience. Can you think of at least, I don't know, about 3 of your compositions that you've been involved in that you really enjoyed and you say, sit back and reminisce from time to time?
There are a few, you know.
What's a favorite composition of yours?
Let me tell you, a favorite composition. I want to tell you, it might be a jingle, you know.
Yeah.
A favorite composition of mine is, believe it or not, a jingle.
Tell me about that jingle, man.
I tell you, and there are a couple, but let me try and narrow it down to one. When NCB was just acquired by
Legion.
AIC, Legion. I was doing all the NCB ads, producing all the NCB ads around that period, and there's one one corporate jingle that they had. NCB, working hard to build a better Jamaica.
Yes.
'Cause wholeheartedly we believe in you. That today, every time I hear it, it just brings a certain amount of joy to me. It was, I don't know, there's something about it.
I think
it's
it's a kind of experience for a listener that inspires confidence. You want to believe the words that you hear and the way it's put together. You enjoy it. You know, so as a listener, as a viewer, seeing that commercial from time to time, I enjoy it. You know, I'm even more amazed now that I meet the man behind it.
You remember that commercial?
Yes.
It was a while back.
Yes.
It was a while back. I think one of the great things about it is I worked with some amazing talent, and some of which you probably know from the gospel arena too.
All right.
Tina Tamara.
I know that one.
And Nikki Saman.
I know that one too.
Those are the two voices. There was another voice. I can't remember her name right now. I'm looking at her face. Can't remember her name, but sorry about that. Who was working with them at the time too.
Yes.
And those girls laid it down. I mean, I couldn't ask for more.
Talented ladies.
Yeah. And I think I did a pretty decent job of writing the jingle as well. And I don't know. That's something I feel very proud every time. And it's not anything I got any accolades for.
Yeah.
And I never get any big up for it or anything. But in my head, it was a job well done, and I felt good about it.
Do you consider these experiences more valuable than the ones that have all the accolades and the the fame attached to them?
Many times. I tell you, some of the things that bring a lot of fame and popularity and run up the charts are the things that you knock out in an hour or so.
Give me an example.
Flex Rhythm. I have that one right
Mad Cobra.
Mad Cobra.
Yes.
Flex Rhythm. As just back off tour, a popular group had a song named Sex You Up. And
Yes. American R&B group.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was eager to do something similar and came in and got called to studio, and the first thing I knocked out was something similar to it, very much slower, and that was Flex. That's where the whole design of the Flex bass line and the chord progression came from.
Yeah.
And I am out on tour again, and I hear somebody get a call from somebody, Flex is up on the Billboard charts. I was like, what? There it was. Moved on, Rihanna used it, R. Kelly used it, and the rest is history.
Just you calling two of the biggest names in R&B, Rihanna and R. Kelly. It's amazing, and I'm sure it's going to be amazing to a lot of our viewers that a Jamaican, impacted some of their biggest hits.
And it happens every day with Jamaican music. It amazes me every time. They're just so drawn to what we do,
Is it the quality of our production, or is it just the creative genius?
I have no idea. When you find out, you tell me.
I need to ask Rihanna and R. Kelly.
I think it's more an inner vibe that comes through that music. Most of our musicians aren't highly trained musicians.
Yes.
Including myself. I don't consider myself to be highly trained. I mean, I knocked out 4 years in music school, and the rest of my training was on the road. But there is something that you learn when you get to grasp Jamaican music and understand that this is about a vibe that becomes a part of you. And I think it's that inner soul vibe that comes out that grabs everybody.
We're gonna take a really quick break right now, and when we come back, my friends, I'm gonna be finding out from this extraordinary musician some of the biggest influences in his life throughout his career. So stick and stay right here. It's an octave higher. We'll be back. Welcome back, my friends, to An Octave Higher. I'm your host, Omar Trowers, aka your boy OT, and we're hanging with the musical maestro, Richie Foulks. Richie, I mean, a sterling run, I'd say. Your career has been decorated with highs and lows, but it must have started somewhere. Somebody must have influenced you in some way. Tell me, first of all, how did you get involved in music? And secondly, who would you say you know, your hero, your biggest influence?
All right. You know, I got into music in a strange little backdoor way. In that, coming through high school, all my plans were to be an architect. Hence, later on in life, I design and oversee the building of my own house.
Yes, and it's a beautiful house, by the way.
Oh,
I tell you, I'm blown away by the way it's set up.
Yeah, thank you. I got sick at the end of high school, not knowing what to do. Had to sit out of school for a year. Eye problems, and I sat home for that year just playing the piano with my eyes closed, thinking that, well, I'm just going to go blind like Stevie Wonder or Ray Charles. And for a year I sat home just doing that, and then my playing improved so much that the choir mistress, a lady named Elaine Reed at my church, suggested, why don't you go to music school? Yeah, I start improving now, and just do the entrance exam and see if you get in. And I did. Did a little summer course, did the entrance exam, and boom, I was in music school. And went through music school. At the end of music school, I didn't even get to go to graduation as a band, Sagittarius band called me. And I was out on tour while everybody was graduating. I was on tour. And that's how I ended up in the music business. It's like life just picked me up and just take me up and put me over there. So.
And I'm sure you've enjoyed pretty much every moment of it.
It has had its ups and its downs, but for most part it has been good. There have been times when I'll tell you, it's just like another day at the office. After doing tours and going back to the same places over and over, it starts feeling like you're just going to the same old office over and over again. When I made the shift back in, I don't remember what year it was, to Sean Paul, it was a nice change, and it was a different way, a different approach. Bird, the then musical director, and myself decided to use technology, a technological approach to making four of us sound like
a big band.
Big band, but yet able to follow the artist, just like a Sting show. If the artist decides him going east, we can go with him. Go west, you can go with him. So it's not like
you can mix it.
Right. It's not like a show where if you just sequence out the show and you have to follow that piece of machinery.
Yes.
With your show.
Yeah, you have to be creative with the progression.
At the same time, you're using the same machinery, but in a flexible way, and it was something else. You know.
I can just imagine that must have caused you to pull out all the stops, all of your creative juices thrown into that particular project.
And we don't have the time to get into some of those details now, how we made some of the samples. I'd come back, sometimes we can't get I have to fly samples sometimes, the drummer fly samples sometimes to get everything to play. But at the same time you're flying the sample, you're playing something on the keyboard while you're playing. So you put samples in strategic points on the keyboard. So when you play this thing, you fly a sample and little things like those. And it took months and months of sitting down and studying some of those things to get them to work right. One such song was I'm Still in Love. Now, I came up in Sagittarius band with a full horn section right in front of me, 24/7.
I'm Still in Love. Is that the one with Stasha?
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting.
So now, for me, keyboard sounding horns is a no-no. So I wasn't going to play no keyboard horns for that.
So you sampled?
We tried to get the horn samples from Steely and Clevie, who were the producers, and we weren't successful. They apparently never had it where we could get it. I came back into this studio, and I sat down and just the way I voiced back the horn parts, played each part using keyboard, yes, but using the actual instrument sound.
Yes.
And with nuances to recreate the horn parts and voice them in stereo, in just a whole lot of details, and then sample that. and then key mapped it so that I could play the whole thing and sound more realistic in terms of.
I think you need to go to the school of music and go and teach some people some stuff.
Of course. And I mean, the schooling came in handy to get a nice wide stereo separation for those sounds.
Yeah.
I voiced one set, and this might go over the heads of some of the people, but for those musicians who understand, reed instrument, brass, reed.
Yeah.
To get a sax section sound on one side, and then brass, reed, brass to get a brass instrument sound. Same set of instruments,
Yes,
but
different
just
arrangement.
arrangement of the parts in terms of harmony.
Yeah.
And it just makes the stereo section separation just wider and bigger and just popped, and it worked. It worked really well.
Interesting conversation with my brother, brethren, newfound friend. I call him family now, you know. I love him most. I'm going to live in the studio. Richie Foulks. It's an octave higher, and we're going to take another quick break, be back, because we're going to find out what's current, what's happening in the now with Richie Foulks. Keep it stuck. Don't go anywhere. Be back in a minute. All right, let me welcome you back to an octave higher, and our final segment, just having a vibe session with Richie Foulks, talented musician who's taught me a lot in the short space of time that we've been having this conversation. Richie, thanks again for hosting us, man, and just sharing your life experience with us and our viewers. I have to find out though, you know, with all that you've gone through over the years, what's happening with you now? Where is Richie Foulks at professionally, and what's the vision for tomorrow?
Okay, what I've been doing lately is I've been trying to build production. I have Von Lee Rich Music, which I'm trying to create a presence for Von Lee Rich Music. As you've seen, there's Von Lee, the gospel side to Von Lee Rich, and there's the secular side to Von Lee Rich. I've so far produced a couple of albums on the gospel side. We're working on some rhythm. I have some rhythms here with some new artists for the other side, which is dancehall. Believe it or not, yeah, dancehall. That I have been working on, but I haven't put any of them out yet. There's Imani,
Yeah.
whose album is out. They did their launch with you. There's a group named Axe,
Acapella group.
an a cappella
I've
group.
heard them.
I just
Excellent.
did an album for them. Theirs is to be released soon. It's going through the process of mastering now and all of that. And that's something different. It's something I've never done before, a cappella. And it was very interesting. I had to go and really sit down and listen to a whole lot of pentatonics and all those a cappella groups that are out there making big waves in the world, and listen to those mixes to try to, stay in the game,
Yeah.
I also am now recording 2 new artists who I prefer to
Not name them.
not name right now until the thing goes further. And I've done other recordings before. There's a guy, Norris Campbell.
I know Norris Campbell, instrumentalist.
I produced Norris album as well. Well, I'm saying albums because there's a second one that hasn't been released yet. So it's been busy.
Yeah.
Doing all this work and trying to put out all this work. So there's quite a bit going on. They're just promotion is where I'm at.
Yeah.
Actually now.
Why you play, what you play, sounds real good. An octave higher. Has a Nat King Cole feel, man.
Well, I do play quite a bit of that stuff when I'm playing live, so.
I hear that. Richie Foulks, inside an octave higher. And it's been a real pleasure.